Hey everybody, good afternoon.
Recording in progress.
Actually, I guess it's still good morning. Kind of the way it rolls, right? Jack should be here any minute now. Let's see. Maybe I should tell everybody we're doing this really quickly. Give me just 1 second. Well, give me a minute, I guess. Copy text, paste it in the chat, and go. There we go. There's Jack. You have to unmute yourself, my man.
It's always something. Hey,
Jack, I just did a big trade, dude. I mean, for me, it was pretty big.
lay it on me, baby.
So in my retirement account, for me and my wife, I had 19 contracts of TSLL sold short at the 1950 strike, which look where we are. We're sitting right at it right here. For today, I had 19 contracts, 19 puts sold at 1950, expiring today. I just rolled that forward to next Friday, October 10th, and collected $1,600 cash right there. Payout for 1 week.
That's nice, man. That's good work.
That's a juicy trade right there. Not to mention what I collected for this Friday already.
Yeah. No, I sold the TSLL 20 strike price puts yesterday for $1.99.
Nice.
It's going to be 38% return on margin. That was the trade we talked about yesterday. I put it on right after we were done with our show.
Yeah. And, you and I talked about one in the background we can talk about here today, too. Now, you've been pretty bullish on Circle. And, well, it might pop out of here. It's got a, good business proposition potential, but running a little rich here on the pricing.
Mm-hmm.
Running a little rich. We look at this, even on margin, this is going to take a pretty fair chunk of money to mess with at $150. But wouldn't you know it, there's a leverage ticker similar to what we have on Tesla.
Yeah, you showed me that yesterday. That's so cool. Is it 2 times?
Now, this is a 2x leverage. It's ultra, and it's run by ProShares, which I kind of trust ProShares more than just about any of the other ones. You may have different experience, but ProShares has been around. I can't remember who that is, whether it's not Bloomberg, but I can't remember who runs the ProShares.
I think it was that guy from Shark Tank.
But the ProShares ETFs seem to be a little more open and honest than some of the other brands.
Shares and iShares. I like.
Yeah, iShares is BlackRock, so ProShares is usually pretty good too. Now, what I kind of thought, let's see, I'm going to pull this up and just walk through it. Now, there's not a lot of expirations on this. These options are not like Tesla. We don't have weeklies. We don't have tons of choices here. But if you are like Jack and you think that this thing could go substantially higher, look at the premium for 14 days right here.
Yeah. Wow.
$1.50. I actually got filled at $1.80 on this yesterday. I actually sold one of these. Got filled at $1.80 for 2 weeks.
That's crazy, man.
So let's just walk through this for everybody. So Jack, when I sell this, what am I doing?
You're taking on the obligation to buy the stock at 17.
Taking on the obligation.
And promise. You promise to buy it, but you don't have to buy it unless it gets down to 17.
So I'm getting paid $1.80 a share to take on this promise for 2 weeks.
It's crazy high.
And the capital I'm using is, for all practical purposes, I'm going to spend $1,700 to buy these shares, but I'm getting $180 of credit right there. So it's actually like $1,520. So 1520. Divide that out. That's a almost 12% return in 2 weeks right there.
Man,
Divide that by 14 days. Multiply that by 365. This is going to get insane. 308% return annualized.
it's good stuff, man. And then, of course, you could sell the calls.
And if I get put this, awesome. If I don't get put this, we could turn around and potentially do it again for next month.
Yeah.
It doesn't have next week, so you do have to play kind of monthly on this for now until it gets a little more liquid. But we've got some players in here. This is not devoid of any. It's not like some of the other ones I've seen that only have monthlies. This one's actually got some juice in it. We've got some players, and we might get some more right here. Please put the trade here. Sell 17, strike, put October 17th. It's very easy. This is not difficult. It's just
Naked
right
put,
there.
secured or on margin.
Sell one, October 17th. 17 strike, put. And right now the premium's running a little lighter. But you could probably be aggressive here and get a fill, quite possibly. You might be able to get. I was aggressive yesterday and went way above the mid at $1.80 and got a fill. I'm not gonna click the button to put this on live, but I don't need another one. This is high risk, high premium like that, 300% a year annualized is a high risk. All right, there is risk priced into this baby. And when we go back to the chart, you can see just a couple days ago we were down at 12. You'd be taking on a risk of 1520, which is right about there. 1520. Right there. If I can write properly today, hand not quite moving like I need it to. Now, upside potential. Like how if we got the shares, what are we looking at upside? I have to go back to the underlying circle. If this thing pops off, like it might, there's very, very, very good possibility that it could pop off. What kind of targets might we be looking at? Something like 400 would be not all that crazy, just kind of reasonable, actually. Right there, 400. But this move up, this pullback, that next move, easily go to 400.
Yeah, it just ticked back up.
So if that goes, what kind of percentage is that to the upside? We're like 167%. Take that, flip it over to something like CRCA with a 2x leverage. Ultra basically means 2x leverage. That 167%, let's just bring over the calculator just to make sure I don't mess up. 167. I have this problem of doing math wrong when I'm on live. Times 2, 334% potential upside for this one. Now, could you just buy shares? Sure. It's safer than selling. I mean, could say it's safer than selling the puts, but then again, you're at a higher cost here. 334%. We're going to have to scale the chart down just a little bit.
Or both.
Hey, you could sell some puts and buy some shares, buy a few shares. 334, let's just stop at 330 right there. So this could go from 18 to 80.
I'd be loving that.
If Circle goes to 400. So which would you rather do? Would you rather ride Circle up for 160%, or would you rather ride CRCA up for 300%?
CRCA.
Yeah, I mean, this just kind of makes sense. So if you're really bullish right now, what's the downside risk here? Well, leverage cuts both ways. Isn't that right, Jack?
Does. But you could
So
put the old red hat trick to it.
I want to demonstrate before we talk anything else here. If this were to drop by say 50% and come back to the IPO price, what does that do for something with 2x leverage?
It really lets the air out of it.
Let's the air out of it. That when you multiply a 50% drop by 2x, that could put this thing down at risk where we have to reverse split. 50% times 2 gets you 100% drop. So this could go bust with a big enough drop in circle.
Yep.
So that's the downside risk here, is all the money you put at risk right here. That's why I only want one of these right now. All the money you put at risk right here can go to 0.
Yes, sir.
So be careful.
Sorry.
All trading involves a substantial risk of loss. Past performance not necessarily indicative of future results. You can do whatever you want to do. I'm just demonstrating what I did. You could do what's the time frame that you're going to do a calendar spread? What time frame would you do it? I don't know. I don't know how long this might take. That's why when I play leverage tickers, I typically don't trade options except for the case where I'm using the options to trade the shares. That's usually the way I work. I don't just buy a call option hoping for this to go up. That's not the point here. That's dangerous. You probably lose your money, right? That's like soaking yourself in gasoline, putting nitroglycerin in both pockets, and then, go play around with some matches.
Cigarette. Yeah.
So you can blow yourself up and your account up and, wreck everything by doing options on something like this.
You sure can. And you probably do it a couple of times trying to get the money back. Yeah, I see a lot of guys buy a call. It doesn't work. They lose 50 to 100%, and they'll try another call on the same thing further out.
Yeah, and then you just burn it again. And this thing doesn't have a lot of options for playing options. And it doesn't even have an IV chart right now. So be careful out there. All right. Yeah, exactly. He done gone and blowed himself up. That's right.
We want to see, Mark wants to see GDXY.
That sounds like a yield max.
Yield max fund that's probably watching the NAV. Oh, no.
Well, it's not great.
Yeah.
compared to gold. You could do better than this yourself, quite honestly, trading some GDX.
Yeah. That's a 44% yield paid out. 44% yield per year paid out monthly.
Yeah, see,
you can get
you
more.
could go down to the 12 strike. Ugh, sorry, I'm talking to the chat there, Jack. You could go down to the 12 strike out to November if you wanted to. As more downside protection. It can still go to 0 though. I'd rather be tied up for 2 weeks. So
yeah, GDXY, Carol says, pays next Friday.
yeah. I mean,
I'm going with Circle because I think that the story is going to support the stock price, but more story has to come out. The jockey hasn't even made it through the first turn.
I need to add GDX. Look at the crazy difference here. So had you bought GDXY back here, you're actually down 10% on the shares, even though you collected 50% on the dividend, if you want to call it dividend, probably paying out the NAV. Versus GDX, it was up 109%. You could have bought some, sold some puts and sold upside calls and done way better.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Well, you want that price appreciation too. I mean, selling a call or naked puts on a stock that's flat, that's okay. But, eventually you want to get another piece of the profit, and that's in the price appreciation.
This is GDX in the pink versus GDXY in the candles.
Gold
This
mine
is,
option income strategy.
I would rather play that one or
Yeah.
even GDXJ than this one. And be like, well, it's, there's so you just buy and hold it. Well, you can see the performance here. Even with this payout, you're only up 40%
Yeah,
over the
still,
year.
I mean, I don't like losing money on the underlying asset to offset the yield. That's a trap.
You're up 40% versus this, it's up 108%. And if you had done just a few options on this, the outcome would be mind-blowing, as they say. Now I can't even fathom how much you could potentially have been up right there. So it's just taking a little bit of effort and putting it into it. You can do way better than if you play one of these yield maxes right here. And GDX pays no dividend. That's not true. They do pay a dividend.
Yeah. Mark says GDXY is for income investors, but you can get a better play
I don't
without,
think it's for income investors. I think it's for lazy investors.
yeah. You can create your own income. We do it every day on here that blows these yield max funds out of the water. 38% on this Tesla put, versus that's in 1 month versus trying to get 44% for a whole year on something going down. Pedro, I don't think it works on penny stocks. I don't do penny stocks. I would
I
advise
wouldn't, I
not.
don't touch things that are penny stocks. If it
Oh,
ever has a reverse split in the history, that's a dumpster fire.
yeah, penny stocks, no good. I used to dabble in them quite a bit, but yeah,
So even with GDXJ, like if you wanted to go the junior miners, something little, look at the premium sitting here. You got 2% premium sitting here at the 100 strike for a week, 7
that's
days.
high, man.
2% for a week. That right there, 2%. You sell it every week, 52 weeks. You already made 100% return.
Yeah, that's great.
You already did better than yield max by 2 times.
Yeah, and you're not losing your.
Just saying. Just saying.
All right, let's take a quick peep at Amazon for our good man Rob Royero.
Amazon, oh, AMZN. I'm sitting on support. Not been doing much.
Hasn't been doing anything, hasn't even been participating in what we're seeing. It's been a real dog. Real dog.
June, July, August, September.
Not doing well. Bezos needs to come back.
Need a better jockey.
Need a better jockey. I like the guys that are still in it. I don't like the guys that came on board after the thing had already matured as a company. I think it loses a lot of vigor and innovation when that happens. But when you have like a legacy company where the original CEO is still the jockey, that tends to be a better situation for me, like AVGO and NVIDIA.
Especially when you got a visionary type out
Exactly.
there.
And you need that. Amazon, I think that they've done a bad deal by their shareholders. Just, not no innovation, no real nothing new, nothing to give you a reason to buy the stock. Whereas this thing, switches, routers, all the stuff that makes it all connected and their own custom chips. Yeah, this is a great play. And
Yeah,
here it is a phone.
Broadcom's a lot about network chips. They supply Apple. At least they have historically. Apple's trying to replace them, but these guys have a market carved out in the cell phone network space and in traditional hardware. You can open up a lot of routers and stuff, network cards, and see Broadcom chips on the motherboard.
Yep. They're the glue, as I tell people. The switches and routers, you got to have that boring stuff, right?
Yep, yep, yep. And even I bet you even Cisco buys from Broadcom. Ooh, Bitcoin hitting a new high. Look at that.
Yeah.
Breaking out. Let's go.
Sheen asks for call details for GDXJ.
What call, dude? I mean, I am not trading it. I'm just throwing it out there as a better potential. Yeah, we can look at whatever, but call details. What do you want to? I mean, here's the call prices for 2 weeks out. These are in the money. These are out of the money.
I wouldn't buy a call here, Sheen.
Gold has it's lofty right now,
Mm-hmm.
and miners and gold don't exactly move together usually.
Oh, the cost of getting it out of the ground is different than the straight up spot price of gold. That's their spread. What does it cost us to get it out of the dirt versus what's it selling for? Now, I don't own any GDX administrator.
The question was about GDXY, and Jack and I don't particularly care for yield max. Title Trust yield max, they don't do a great job at taking care of your money.
That job. So I don't own anything related to gold. I don't trade gold. I'm just not into gold. I don't see it. I don't like it. One, cash secured puts on Cisco, Merck, J&J, IBIT. They're great. They're great to do. Of those there, I've got a pretty big position in J&J. Never going to sell it. And IBIT.
Now I have to tell you, the best trade I've done this year is on this stock right here. Last November, or probably December, right in here, I bought the 60 strike calls when it was down at 40. I paid less than $1. I paid like 90 cents. 90 cents a piece for them. When NEM hit 80, I sold those out for 20 bucks a piece. I made 25 grand on that trade right there in my mom's retirement account.
Wow. So you bought that November last year?
Yeah, for January of next year.
Wow. Nice.
Paid 90 cents for them. Got out for 20 bucks, 20 bucks and change.
Now,
20 something.
Do you tell your mom that you did it and how happy she should be, or do you not tell her? I don't tell my people.
Well, see, she told me back here in October to buy her gold. She was going to cash out a big chunk of her retirement account and buy gold, physical gold, with one of those crazy brokers on TV. And I told her, don't do that. Do not do that. I was like, gold is going to pull back. And then this is what this did. And even if I bought GLD for her right in here in shares or whatever, bought, some sort of physical gold exposure, I think this was the better play right here for her and her account. So this is the second time I've done this for my mom. Made big money on gold.
You made big money, or you don't tell her?
I told her that I made her, 25 grand on that gold play, and I'm out.
And then she
right
said,
here.
"Come over and I'll bake you a pie."
No, she said, make sure we got some exposure to crypto. I hear that's coming up.
My mother, I don't tell her what I do for her or my sister.
I tell my mom the big wins because she doesn't even look at her. She doesn't even know how to get into her account and look at it. So I just tell her when I made her some money and she's got, I'm like, you're okay. You got some money, So
Well, it's funny managing money for people, especially people you don't want to have them look at what you're doing or ask you questions or pester you about it. I just tell her, don't look at it till you need it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it wasn't a few days, but this was from December last year through whatever that was, a few weeks ago when we were hitting 80 there. So
Now, we got the question of what gave you the conviction to do that trade is what John wants to know.
my pattern,
Your technical pattern. Yeah.
my technical pattern, it's right here. Like this move up, came down. Let me grab my drawing tool, came down into support right there. I actually bought right here at the 618 level. This is either an A, B, and this was going to be a C, or this was a 1, 2, and this was going to be a 3, which is what it is right now. That's a
Looked a little
3.
lofty to me. I've been pounding on that one for people for a long time. Trend Point's been loving that, showing that one all the time.
So the pullback potential is to come back down in the 70s at this point right now. But, what gave me that conviction is this. Like I've played this a few times.
Pattern, you're saying.
And yeah, that on NEM and ABS, last time I did this, I did it on Barrick Mining, which I guess the ticker is now B. They keep changing tickers. It did a pretty big move too. The last time I played this was back in 2018. Late, yeah, same pattern right here. Right there, same pattern, 2018. I did this pattern, that move up, that retrace, that hold of the 618. And I caught that move right up into COVID. With the same kind of trade. Risked about $1 per contract. I played back here, I was able to buy the 12 strike calls when it was hanging out at 1150. Bought those 12 strike calls out into 2020. I think I played, I'm trying to remember. Maybe in the January 2020s. So I had to book it out right before COVID happened.
Dennis asked, missed what I said on tickers for good selling secured puts. Yeah, the other question was, can you do cash secured puts on Cisco and some of these other good stocks, J&J? And yeah, you can. Really, if you want to own the stock, you can. But preferably, I would want to see a strong trend. But you can do it. I love naked puts or cash secured puts, whatever, on just about everything I'm doing. But I want to get, with that beta under 1, you're not going to get a lot of premium. You can do it, and it's a good way to build a portfolio if you sell naked puts close to the market price of the stock, maybe 5% less or something in its range. But you want that trend like this going higher. You get a trend going lower, and puts, cash secured or on margin, are a terrible, terrible game. It's all predicated on the trend. All my trades are predicated on the trend. I don't buy anything trending down. I don't do that. I like to buy high and sell higher and just grind with it up. Like this one, not bad.
Because of my personal history of getting this pattern over and over, I would have chased it here. And because we're hitting targets, I would be getting off of it, booking profits, staying away at this point.
Now, I wouldn't want to sell a naked put on this when it's toppy. I'd much rather sell a naked put when it's lower, closer to that gold ribbon,
Yeah.
close to support or below support. I wouldn't want to do a naked put with all that loft, as I call it, between the moving average and the market price. That's a little too much loft right there.
Yeah, this is potentially topping out here.
Yeah, it
And
is.
we could experience a bigger pullback.
Yeah.
So you just got to be careful. It's like, this is why I just rolled this before I came live, Jack. Still on this one.
Killing me with this.
So I've got some shares, and I rolled out 2350 or I don't know if it's 2350, 23 upside calls right there. And I have 22 puts that I've been rolling for a few weeks now. I just got paid like 46 cents for another week. 46 cents to keep that going.
On that trade you did with your mom, why, people take profits too early. Like they're asking, how do you do that? How do you not take the profit too early? I would say that while it's still going up, you don't do anything, right?
I didn't look at it for 6 months. It's real easy to not check in on it. Some people have a hard time with that. I've gotten particularly good at trading at a size where I put, you know, I think I put $1,000 risk on that trade. I think it was, 90, it was 90 some odd cents. It wasn't exactly 90 cents, but, so I got her like 10 contracts or 20, I think it was 10 or 12 contracts, might have been 12 contracts. And it was a reasonable size of money to risk, $1,000. I made her many, many thousands of bucks doing other stuff, selling calls and whatever. So even if this went to zero, no big deal. But she adamantly told me she wanted exposure to gold. I mean, this was a whole conversation. And I told her I would make her money on gold if she would just leave me alone. And she did. And I made her some money on gold. So
That's funny. Wanda wants to know about the source or screeners to find good stocks for covered calls. How do you find them? I like to start off with the new highs, Wanda. If I don't already have a stock trending higher, once I find those, I tend to just stay with those stocks that are trending higher. But if I'm looking for a new one, I'm going to look for a new 52-week high, over $25 a share, trades on a major exchange, has options, is trending higher, a
yeah,
new high within the context of a trend.
yeah, Jack, I'm not trying to slam on your, trim point software. If you want to buy Jack's trim point software, a great place to find awesome stuff. If you're just not sure about it yet, you can pop on someplace like Market Chameleon. There's FinViz, there's all sorts of stock screener websites. Come on here, jump on the 52-week high page. There's a lot of them on here. It's reloading. Here we go. Don't show my personal information. And I like to search by option volume. Pull the top ones to the top. And you've got SPY, QQQ, IWM. You can do cover calls on the indexes. Intel coming in here pretty hot. They're coming up off the lows. Not too bad. Nice chunk of options. So you want something that moves some options. Why? Because that's where the juice is going to be.
That's right. So you'd have to buy 100 shares also. So the price per share is going to matter relative to how much capital you're trading. Like, so a Tesla, that for me would not cut it. It's too expensive. But anything like 200 or under, I'm good for.
Yeah. And see, these do have all sorts of pricing going on. Robinhood's on here, one of Jack's favorites. SLV's on here. And we got TQQQ, which is getting to be kind of expensive. They'll probably split that before too long. And a lot of these have those leverage tickers underneath them. A Riot's showing up on here. I've been selling puts on Riot, actually.
Yeah, I think one of the best stocks for a person to start doing covered calls is IBIT.
Yeah, it's pretty stable. Speaking of IBIT, ETHA, another good one, actually. I just rolled those 33s forward again. I have 3250s and 33s. I rolled those 33s. When I tell you about this, Jack, when we started back in August, I told you I sold a 33. I haven't taken the shares yet. I just keep rolling it forward for more and more premium, making almost $1 a week on the premium roll.
Strong, very strong. Yeah, let's take a quick peek at NVIDIA. I'm closing out a trade in that today. I on Tuesday, I sold 180.
Jump to a clean chart. Jump up to the daily chart, turn off this right there. All right, on Tuesday, you sold.
Every Tuesday, I do it on AVGO or NVIDIA or something I like that's trending higher. These both have a good beta. Both have very liquid options. I put that in there on a limit on a net credit, and I'm stunned at how fast that gets filled. So I put this one on Tuesday, sold the 180, bought the 177.50. I think I made about 10% on that, 8.8% or so. And I like doing
Oh,
that. That one's closing out today by itself because I'm not going to unwind it. The options are out of the money. They're going to expire worthless. I'm going to let that happen. I also put on the KWEB. I think Nvidia is going to go cracking towards 200, but that's why I'm in that, and I'm long more Nvidia than any other stock I own.
yeah, we talked about this one yesterday as a debit spread. This is just a straight up directional. Got to get the direction right. Heck of a trend.
Heck of a trend. So I bought the 45 strike price call, and I sold the 50, and I'm into it with a debit of 96. And as soon as I got my fill on a debit of limit of 96, I turned around and put it good till cancel for sale at 3 with a limit on the net credit. So you got a limit on the net debit when you go into the trade. You turn it around, put a good till cancel at usually 50% or more, but I think this one's going to go. And so I put it in good till cancel for sale at 3. And if it gets close, I might just take the limit off and sell it at the market, but I'm going to give this time to cook.
And I played in November on that one. I think you did too.
Yeah, I played the November 12th.
November 12th or 21st?
12.
Got 14th.
Well, I better look at that then.
We got 14 and 21. I played the 21st, the third week.
21st too. I wrote it backwards.
Yeah. So
China really, they've taken this tariff stuff with the US and they've just turned it around, and they're just going to dump so much product on the rest of the world, not the US, but they're going to make up for it by we're going to see some massive exports by China here this year. They're going to drop prices and just dump cheap goods.
and you could potentially get this a little cheaper than when we got it yesterday with the little pullback today. Right there. And this is one of those buy and hold. We've got 49 days left in this. So this is a let it cook type of trade. You don't sweat it. You don't look at it. We're not really closing it early at this point.
Yeah, that KWEB is November 21st here. I'm looking at
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, there you go. November 21st. And a couple of people yesterday, I saw them in the chat as we were wrapping up, wanted to know about playing the CWEB. First, there's not nearly the options liquidity going on here. Second, this is a leverage ticker. And if you were going to do that, I would just play shares. I wouldn't bother with trying to get illiquid options and try to one up the game, so to speak.
No, wouldn't do that.
All right, that's just taking something and trying to, what are you doing? Like, really, what are you doing? Evaluate. What are you doing? Are you trying to like hit an absolute home run on something that's, a speculative play to begin with? You got to be careful. All right. Putting leverage and then taking options and playing options on something that's leverage, not necessarily the best idea. Just to buy a share right here, it's $59. $59. We were looking at getting into the spreads for less than twice that. So for the cost of 2 shares, you could just go do one of the KWEB with a potential 200% upside. If you're buying the shares here, you don't have a 200% upside. What you got is, you go back to KWEB, we've got this potential to move up to, maybe up in the 49.50 area. If we got up to 50, that's 16% upside. So we're looking at maybe a 30% upside on CWEB. Maybe 30. That's if everything goes right. If we got a pullback, this thing gets devastated, right? Remember, 10% pullback on KWEB is a 20% pullback here. So you're buying more volatility, your options more at risk.
Yeah. You're spending too much for too little.
And the pricing here on CWEB is higher than on KWEB. That doesn't make any sense either. So just be careful trying to go after leverage is not always the best way to play. I'm just saying, like, just saying.
What else do I got here?
Did you raise your stop loss on what? I don't know, administrator.
That NEM option.
Oh, on EM, there was no stop loss to it. Zero or hero or zero. That's I'm an all or nothing trader. People have a hard time following me because of that. I'll go into something and just I'm all in. Like whatever it is, hero or zero. A lot of people have trouble with that. They're like, oh, I want to cut it at 50% loss. You do that, you don't catch the big upside. You know, when I was down on NEM, I was down. Like when it didn't immediately take off, it was looking kind of nasty there when we bottomed out. But I just don't look at it. Quite honestly. I sleep like a baby. I put the risk on that I'm willing to lose and willing to go to zero, and I don't sweat it. I don't look at it. I don't load it. I don't, I'm not sitting there refreshing the screen. I just don't.
One thing you could do as far as getting out there, administrator, if you say you take profits too early, you could do the Tony Saliba trick where he likes to buy a trade in lots of three. So like 3, 6, 9, whatever contracts, and then he'll sell one of the 3 at, let's say, 20% up. He'll sell another one of the 3 at 50% up, and then he'll hang on to that last piece to see how high the thing will go. Man, this phone is killing.
I've tried taking some off early. People are like, why don't you book some profit here, book some profit there? I've tried to do that. And the problem is I will try to add it back, go back in with more risk. I end up taking more loss on a bad trade than I do making up the win on the good trades. I've tried it. Like I've tried all sorts of things. Me going in pretty much max risk at the beginning is kind of the way I roll. Now, that all said, that's for directional trades. When I'm doing these, the income type trades, it's a little different story.
Because you already know what you're going to make. When you're doing a directional trade, the future is unknown. You don't know how high it's going to go. You don't know what you're going to make. But when you're selling premium, whether it's credit spread or covered call or naked put, you already know how much you made.
Right. I already knew what I brought in and I already know what the plan is. And if it's going against me, the plan is to, help it go back to the original plan. Keep making money. So I will add to these and I buy things that I fully intend to go up. The time I may be wrong on the timeline, and that's part of, you got to help it along. But, as you can see, I've been playing those TSLL puts in here. And there's my all-time win rate, 87%.
That average gain is looking good.
This year, 90%. I've got a pretty darn good track record at getting it right. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I've proved it to myself enough times. People are like, how do you know this is going to happen? I tend to be right a lot and I've worked hard to get to this point in my trading where I'm right a lot. I follow a lot of things that work for me a lot of times. And so there you go. Almost at 27 grand this year.
That's sweet.
Probably be over that on Monday, I bet. So can I explain to you, like, did I know I was going to make 25 grand on this back here last year in December? Absolutely not. Was 25 grand my goal? Not really. I did buy the 60 strike call. I did think that we were going higher from down here at 40 up here to 60. I thought we might get a little gravy. I thought maybe I'd make my mom like 5 grand and she'd be happy because that's what she was like, oh, I can make a couple grand on gold. And I thought I would make like 5K. on this, and she'd be happy because I outperformed what the people were telling her on TV and whatever. But 25 grand, she was like, "I'll leave you alone. Just keep taking care of me." So, and that was just one trade. I've done, I think she's doing all right this year. I think we're north of 40 grand right now. Should be over 50 by the end of the year. That's pretty good for being retired and having a pension from the teachers, whatever. And I mean, this is not her only income, so she's doing all right. She's got annuity and she's got, teacher retirement income and some other stuff and Social Security. And I mean, so this is just another cog in the wheel.
Yeah. Spread it out a little bit, diversify.
I've been managing money for my parents I started doing this in the late 90s. Um, right when I started trading, they're like, "Well, you like doing this, here you go. Here's the keys to the castle." And I've made mistakes. I've done good. They've never gotten upset at me. Knock on wood. They've been great. I've taken care of them though. Both my parents are like, "You've made us way more money than, we could have ever done on ourselves or, anybody was doing for us when you took over." So anyway,
Yeah. I never had that chance to do it for my parents, but I would have loved to have done it.
I
They
just
were
sit here and try to make them a little money, make them a little scratch.
mine were gone when I got into the business, so
Sorry to hear that, Jack.
it's okay. But it'd be great to be able to do it for, your relatives, sisters, mother-in-law.
And my kids don't want to do this game yet. Like they're not to that point in their life. But me and my wife's like, whatever. Just I don't even want to talk about it. Shit, I don't even want to know.
Didn't either. I really thought my second boy would take to it, but neither one did. Neither one of them did it. And they got great careers now, and they dabble a little bit in it, but they're more of a buy and hold type guy. Uh, yeah, I'm doing my grandkids, Dennis. Yeah, I'm managing their stuff. I've loaded them up already. Uh, I think I told you my grandson, little Jack, he picked Aflac as his stock to learn about the market because he watches college football, and they are always advertising Aflac. So that's a great way for him to learn. He's got another report due to me about what is a dividend, and he has to follow the stock and tell me about the earnings, and he's got to get into it. No AI, he's got to learn it on his own. And then my granddaughter, she picks Starbucks. I don't believe 10-year-olds should be going to Starbucks, right? She's out with this thing, it's as big as her arm, and it's got all kind of foam and sugar in it. And I I never take her when she's with me. I won't let her. But again, you let them pick their stock, and then they're kind of dialed in on it. And right, she hates to see this thing go down, and she wants the dividend, but I make her reinvest it, both of them. Yeah, get your kids in early. There's a pathetic lack of financial education in our world. Kids don't get an access to learning anything about finance, and that's just a crying shame. Because with just a little bit of education when they're young, it's going to be the most valuable education they ever get in their life. The financial stuff. Get them in a stock, get them in covered calls, start teaching them about options, and make them write reports to you about what it is, and tell them they can't use AI to write the report. They gotta write it the old way.
Hey, get them watching some of our replays here too, because we're teaching some good stuff here. Like this is stuff you can count on. It's worked for my entire investing career. And just in case you don't have the links, I'll drop them in the chat here. Right
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Sarah's teaching her nephew. Bodine says we paid $2 for a big gulp. Now it's $8 to $12 for a Starbucks. Yeah, that it is, and it's crazy how much kids like this thing. Uh,
And this stock hasn't gone anywhere but sat in this range since
jockey,
2019.
that's your jockey right there. What's funny about Starbucks? I think you might have told me this, that they're sitting on I don't know how many millions in gift cards that haven't been used.
Yeah.
Think about that. They're selling coffee without having to deliver the goods.
They gotta start their own stable coin and put it in the,
Yeah,
in the
that's
treasuries.
what you should do with it. And it's crazy how when I read that number, I don't remember what it was. So big, it was eye-opening how much the cash they're sitting on in gift cards that have not been used. And people lose them. They're in the drawer somewhere. That's a great business to sell a gift card that no one's going to use.
Let's see. Yeah, they're sitting on almost $2 billion in unspent gift cards right now.
2 billion?
Almost 2 billion.
Oh, wow. Yeah, S-Bucks would be a good ticker for a stable coin. Walmart and Amazon, if they had a stable coin, they could save consumers thousands and thousands and thousands.
It's
Amazon and
craziness, right?
Walmart really need one.
Anyway, what else we got, everybody?
Is the government still shut down?
Yeah, we're
You
gonna
know,
shut that baby down for weeks, I think. I don't think anybody's got any motivation to do it. I think Trump wants to fire a bunch of people.
he
Cut the
does.
fat.
What the fat? Uh, yeah, what was it? Yeah, cut the fat.
But market doesn't seem to care, honestly.
Oh yeah, what I was going to say is that Kalshi market, that predictive market, they have some pretty good bettors on there, Kalshi, and they're saying 9 days is going to be the shutdown.
Let's see what we got here.
Accurate.
Hey, I mean, people bet, and people, all sorts of people come in with all sorts of knowledge. Let's see. I don't see how long is the government shutdown going to last? There we go.
9 days, I think it is.
So we got, more than 10 days, more than 15 days, more than 35 days. And right now, odds of the last more than 15 is kind of creeping up a little bit. We got 71% more than 10 days.
Yeah, that's crazy. You can bet on everything. And imagine being able to do all this and
On
10
Robinhood.
times more on Robinhood. That
Yeah,
that guy was on I don't know, he made an appearance yesterday somewhere, and he was talking about how tokenization is an unstoppable beast that's going to totally eat the financial markets. And what he's talking about is you can tokenize a stock, right? And it's not the same as owning the shares, but it's a proxy for the stock. And they think you can tokenize everything from real estate, put it all on the blockchain, tokenize everything, tokenize every stock out there. You wouldn't own shares again, but you'd own a proxy for it, and you'd be able to bet on all this crazy stuff. And the fees that they're going to collect are just going to be insane. That's why I'm loving Hood. I don't have enough of it. It's not my top five, which I wish it was, but like I say, it kind of got away from me. I started buying Hood at 55, and it just kept ripping.
looks like the big money's on October 15th or later on Polymarket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
this is a competitor with Kalshi. So bigger money sitting out there a little bit longer. Another, 2 weeks at least on this one. That'd be interesting.
yeah,
Coming up at the end of the month, we have the next Fed rate cut cycle.
yep,
What if the government's still shut down? That'll be interesting.
yeah, that would really be interesting. And mortgage rates going lower.
Now we've got this one. What's the decision in October? Right now, looking at a quarter point, 90%. That's coming up the last week of the month, right when Apple reports earnings.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
So interesting stuff. See what's cooking. All right, everybody. I don't have a lot of thoughts on a lot of stocks, so I don't. Most of the time, if I'm not talking about it, if I don't come in here talking to Jack about it, I don't have any thoughts on it. So when y'all ask me about stocks, like it's my most disliked question is what are your thoughts on some random stock?
Yeah, that's
Because I don't have any. Like I don't think about these things if I'm not coming in here talking about them, they're not top of mind. It's not something I usually even care about. And sometimes even if I have a trade on it, I don't really have thoughts about it at all. So a lot of times I'll make my decision, I'll see my price pattern and make my decision, and then it's out of mind, out of sight, out of mind. I have my alerts on the chart. I don't check up on it. I don't sweat it. I don't, it's just kind of the way I trade. So that's not the way for everybody, but it is the way for me.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same too. I try not to do any fundamental analysis, all technical. And a lot of times I don't want to know what the company does. If I don't already know, I don't want to know because I'll talk myself out of the trade.
Yeah, the price pattern tells me pretty much everything I need to know, and then I can see the earnings down here that they're not there's a lot of red ones, and that explains why the thing's just chopping. But
I was so
beating
wrong.
earnings doesn't make a stock go higher.
No, I was so wrong about this thing. I remember, oh, man, it had to be early 1990s. I was in Portland visiting a guy, investor, and Starbucks was in Seattle. And he was telling me all about it. This was before they went public. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, you got to be out of your mind to think anybody is going to pay $1.50 for a cup of coffee. This is going to be the worst stock in the world. And look how wrong I was.
Yeah, it's only made like a couple thousand%. I mean, come on, Jack. It's
Yeah,
only up 31,000%.
I'm wrong, you know.
You don't have that. You just don't have that. What do they call it? The angel investor mentality. Venture capitalist.
A lot of times on these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was trading Meta shortly after the IPO. This was the funny one to me. At the time when this came out, Facebook was a freaking joke, right?
Still
And we
is.
we watched this thing plummet into the abyss after the IPO. IPO up here, and it dropped like crazy. People are freaking out. And then it went even further down below 20. I remember, like, I was like, this thing can go to zero. Like, they didn't make any money when they IPO'd. Like, they didn't have Facebook ads and all the things they've built. They used all their IPO money to start building that crap. In the
Well,
beginning, it was just a bunch of people sharing crap about their lives. And
it was for college kids to have their own little social media. What was the one before that? MySpace.
yeah,
Remember?
MySpace. Yep.
And Facebook came out, and I thought this is the dumbest idea I've ever seen in my life. It's for kids, right? College kids, and the sites, the pages, they look ugly. I just think the whole. I don't have Facebook, um,
I don't either.
but could get the hang
I,
of it. And a lot of people I knew growing up, I don't want to know where they are, what they're doing. I'm not looking up high school kids.
yeah, yeah, Jack, that's funny. You and I grew up kind of similar circumstances, and it's funny. Like I could care less about 99.9% of the people that I grew up with
Yeah,
because they treated me like garbage.
me too. I hated high school was the worst 4 years of my life. And college was probably the best 5 years of my life in terms of like school and friends and stuff like that. But I hated high school. I got shook down for money. Like they had a whole bunch of doors and then they a little interior and then a whole bunch of other doors, like a foyer or something. Very first day of high school. I'm in my gym clothes, late for gym class, and these two dudes in between these doors are trying to shake me down for money, right? Like, how the hell am I going to give you any money when I'm in my gym clothes? So it turns out to be, well, the next time you see us, you're going to give us each $5. And I I just laughed. I got something for you right now. I just gave him a bloody nose and ran out to the gym class. But that was high school, man. First day you're getting shook down. I couldn't imagine getting back into this building every day for 4 more years. I'm going to kill myself. I hated it.
Huh?
So all those friends or whatever, bullies and all the other crap you go through growing up, like why would I care what these girls that I knew are doing? Or I mean, I just don't get it. I don't want to be looked up, right? I
Yeah.
don't want them calling me or sending me a message or whatever. Like, hey, that was years ago.
You start the whole shakedown thing again, right?
That's so crazy, man. I still can't believe it.
Anyway, yeah, Meta's it's one of those things. Like I thought it was a joke, but it's obviously not been a joke, and I've made money on it over the years. But me and Facebook have never really gotten along. 90% of the trades I ever do on Facebook, I lose money. It's on my don't trade list because I just tend to lose money. Even if it has a beautiful setup, I'll set it up and I'll lose money some way somehow. It's just
Tammy, yeah. Tammy says my daughter made 20 grand during COVID on Facebook selling stuff.
great work. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, Jack, I think you got something to show off here, don't you?
I do. A pretty piece of code.
What we
Very,
got? What we got? What we got?
yeah, let's privacy settings. Yeah, I gave up on face mask. All right, Sarah's going to get us started with one of the coolest things out there. Little piece of code here that has been on fire. So I say we let it roll.
All right, sir, let's go.